My name is Clara Jennings, and I am 29 years old. I live in Sunnyvale, California, a place brightened by sunshine and filled with promise. I work as a graphic designer, and I love the creativity my job brings to my life. I enjoy spending weekends hiking in the nearby hills or exploring the local coffee shops with my friends. On the surface, everything seemed fine, but there was one thing that made my heart race with worry: my landlord. Ever since I moved into my apartment 3 years ago, he had a reputation for being the kind of person who would blame tenants for damages that were already there. I remember the first time I met him. He was overly friendly, but had a gleam in his eyes that felt almost predatory. I soon learned to be wary of his words and actions. I kept quiet, just trying to go about my daily life, but I remember feeling the weight of unease every time I heard his name. My dad had faced similar situations before, losing money over unjustified claims. So, when it was time for me to move in, his advice rang in my ears. He told me to document everything, every little imperfection in the apartment. At first, I thought he was being overly cautious, but I took his words to heart, knowing how important it was to protect myself. I took out my phone and recorded a detailed video walkthrough of each room, narrating aloud. I spent almost an hour meticulously going through every inch of my new home, pointing out scratches, stains, and all those little flaws that were already there before I even unpacked my first box. After that, I captured individual photographs, ensuring I had the date clearly marked in the frame. I uploaded everything to Google Drive and even emailed myself the folder link for good measure, ensuring there was no doubt about when those images were taken. Little did I know how crucial that documentation would become. Fast forward to last month, I decided it was time to move on. After 3 years, I felt ready for a change. I submitted my notice to my landlord, hoping for a smooth transition. Unfortunately, nothing about this experience would be smooth. My landlord scheduled a pre-move inspection, and I steeled myself for what I knew was coming. True to my expectations, he returned with a list that sent my heart racing: a deep scratch in the hallway, a stain on the bathroom ceiling, and what he called significant scuffing along the baseboards in the bedroom. As he recited these supposed damages, a fire ignited within me. I felt anger bubbling to the surface. This was not the first time he had tried to blame a tenant for damage that was already there. With grace that surprised even me, I pulled out my phone and started going through my documentation. I opened up the video I had recorded the day I moved in, and I could see him begin to shift uncomfortably as I played through the footage. There it was, the scratch in the hallway, clearly visible on day one, the stain on the ceiling that I had pointed out, and of course, the baseboards looking exactly the same. I could see the realization wash over his face as I continued to point out the evidence that proved he was lying. Instead of a confrontation that could escalate, he fell silent. "I will review my records," he stammered. I felt a surge of triumph, and I knew that I had the upper hand. As the days rolled on, I waited anxiously for my deposit to be returned. 11 days later, I received the notification that my full deposit was returned to me. There were no deductions and absolutely no explanation. I could hardly believe it. My heart soared with a feeling of victory, a sweet taste that came from the knowledge that I had outsmarted my landlord. Thanks to my dad's wise instructions, I had secured what was rightfully mine, and it felt like a revenge well deserved. As I sat back and reflected on the whole experience, I could not help but feel a sense of empowerment gnawing at my heart. No longer was I just a tenant in someone else's property. I stood tall and felt a newfound strength within myself. I had faced a challenge, and not only had I come out on top, against someone who thought they could take advantage of me, but I had also set an example for others who might find themselves in similar situations. I could not wait to share the story with my friends, ensuring they knew how important it was to advocate for themselves and stand up against unfair practices. And so, I stepped out of that chapter of my life feeling renewed, with a sense of closure as I looked forward to the future. Sure, the journey had its hurdles, but through determination and careful planning, I had taken back control over my own story. Now, as I continue my life in Sunnyvale, I do so with this lesson tattooed on my mind: always be prepared and never let anyone walk all over you, especially those who think they can.